So I hear you're trying to get your very first push-up. Well, you've come to the right spot. In this video, I'm going to address some common faults that people do with push-ups. I'm also going to show you some exercises that can help you get better at push-ups. And then I'm going to finish on with some regressions. So some exercises that you should be able to do prior to hitting your very first push-up. And if you're one of the lucky few that get access to this video within the first 24 hours, there is going to be a 20-day program down below in order to help you achieve that very first push-up in the next 20 days. And if you find the video helpful, this is just a snippet of what I offer with my online coaching service. So just imagine what we can achieve together when we're working on a one-to-one level. So the main technique issue that I see a lot of you doing is placing your hands too wide and your elbows are going straight out to the sides. So if we look at a top-down view, you're going to look like the capital T. What we want is we want to look like an arrowhead. So to achieve this, what you're going to do is you're going to bring your hands in a little bit closer, and then the weird thing is I want you to get the pointy bit of your elbow to rotate so it faces behind you. Simply have weight on the hands and rotate the elbows behind you. From here, we're in a far much more efficient position to be able to use our chest, our triceps, and our shoulders. The more muscles that we have available to us and a more efficient position will mean we'll be able to produce way more force into the ground. So there's a good chance if you were going wide and getting a few push-ups, by making this one simple change, you should be able to almost double your output. So for the next one, we're going to get a side-on angle because we're actually looking at the hips. How the hips are positioned and how we brace our midline actually become quite important, and it's something we're going to talk about a little later on in the video. But what a lot of people are doing wrong here is as it gets tricky, you're lifting your hips up. And what that is then doing is you're shifting more of your body weight down into your hands, so you're actually making the lift way harder. You'll see this when people start to fatigue. So you might start off all very well, nice straight line, and as you get tired, the hips start to come up because you feel less weight on your arms here. That's because there's some weight in the feet. But when you start doing the push-up, all of a sudden, there's way more weight in the arms, making the exercise way more difficult. So an easy technique fix is just keep those feet in line. So the number one exercise I feel that will benefit you most when trying to build the strength for a push-up is going to be the dumbbell flat bench press. This is because it mimics it so very closely, and we get to use a selection of weights to adjust to our strength levels. If you can improve your dumbbell flat press, there's a damn good chance that your push-ups will improve also. To perform this exercise, all you're going to need to do is place the dumbbells on your knees to start, have a flat bench, and you're going to bring the dumbbells down as you come down with it. Then, just like the push-ups, we're going to make sure that the pointy bit of our elbows are facing slightly behind. We're going to bring those dumbbells to just outside the shoulders, making sure you're getting nice and low, again, just like you would be in a push-up, and then you're going to press up and together. Think about getting the bottom edge of those dumbbells to touch at the top. Come down and press up. You would perform this exercise for around 5 to 10 reps in order to build strength in this particular exercise. Next up, stepping away from the specific movement of the push-up, we're going to look at one of the main accessories, which is going to be to help build up the tricep strength. I particularly like the rope variation on this, but you can use a straight bar and perform the exact same exercise. What you're going to do is grab the ropes, take a 1 or 2 steps backwards, pin the elbows into your rib cage, and then here's where we get a little bit different to what you may be used to. We're then going to kick the hips backwards, so now we have a much bigger stretch through the tricep. From here, we're going to push the rope down and pull it apart at the very, very bottom. Bring it back up in control, get those hands nice and high, and then repeat. This will specifically build strength in the tricep, which is going to help you massively when it comes to doing your push. And the next exercise I would recommend is, again, a little bit of a unique one. This is going to be a plate frontal raise with a slow lowering. So this achieves two things. We're going to take the weight plate and we're going to lift that weight plate overhead while keeping the arms nice and straight. This is great for the front of the delts, which again are very important for when we do push-ups. Now the second bit, we're going to do particularly a slower lowering. This is because it will also help build your core strength. So we get a bit of a double whammy in the one exercise. So think about lifting that plate up with a nice straight arm and then bring it steadily down without leaning backwards. We really lose a lot of the core work when we start leaning back, so make sure you stood up nice and tall, and this again will help you get that first push-up. We're back on the ground now. We're going to start talking about the regression. So some of the exercises you should be able to do before you're being able to hit that very first push-up. So what we're going to talk about here to start with is the negative, or a slow lowering. So what you're going to do, folks, is get yourself into your push-up position and quite simply go down in slow motion. Here you are building strength in what's called the eccentric, which is a lot stronger than the concentric. In this case, you're a lot stronger going down than you are coming up. The other thing you can add in is pauses. I want you to pause at the particular point that you feel weak at. So if you struggle with your push-ups because you get all the way down but then are stuck off the ground, I want you to pause just above the ground. And you would hold that for about 10 to 20 seconds in order to build strength in that particular area. And the final regression for this push-up series is just being able to hold a very solid plank position. If we cannot hold ourselves there for at least 20 to 30 seconds, then we have no right yet to even consider starting to do our push-up. So you need to develop the core strength. As I mentioned a little bit earlier on the video, where we place our hips and how well we are braced through the midline will make a dramatic impact on how well we perform our push-ups. So for planks, I'm sure we're all familiar, you want to set up with the hands exactly like you would have the push-up, feet exactly like you would have the push-up, and you're looking to just hold this position here. Don't worry too much about doing a low plank. It is not close enough of a variation to the push-up that we're going to get the same amount of benefit. So start on the arms. You can use the same trick we did earlier by elevating yourself up off the box if you do struggle to hold the full plank for your 20 to 30 seconds. For those looking for the next level up, we can also add in a little bit of shoulder stability to this exercise. So by doing that, we're going to perform an exercise called the plank taps. So we're going to set up exactly like we just said, but now we're going to take one arm away, touch the opposite shoulder. Your goal here is to minimize your swinging and swaying. It's going to be very easy to perform the exercise while you're moving all over the shop. You want to do your very, very best to stay as squared as possible. This will help later on when we decide to go into that full push-up. Now I'm sure a lot of you were thinking, oh, on your knees would be next, but quite the contrary. Working off your knees only really helps with about half of the lift. We're going to do something better, and that is a push-up off an elevated surface. So quite simply, you can start very high or you can start very low, depending on how strong you are and where you are of your push-up challenge. So what I want you guys to do is set up the exact same way you would set up on the floor, just on a box. What this does now, it puts way more weight in the feet, so there's now less weight in the hands, but we perform the push-up the exact same way as we would off the ground. Where a lot of people go wrong with this particular lift is they end up taking their head to the ground, not their chest. And taking your head to the ground will certainly make the push-up much harder. So once you're set up on the box, body in a nice straight line, take your chest to the edge of the box and push yourself up. Once you get decently strong at a certain height, look to lower the box down so that more weight goes into the hand, making the regression just a little bit more tricky.